everybody understands the power of compound interest. Well, maybe people don't, but the power of compound interest with your money.
Yeah.
But it's like that in everything. So, I mean, if you're lifting weights or if you're in a relationship or, there's this incredible thing called compound interest that it doesn't just grow, it actually multiplies and gets better. But too many people just quit.
Welcome to Selling Your Circle. I'm your host, Juliana Gainsburg, and on this show, we talk all things business development, entrepreneurship, and investing. Each week, we'll have a different guest because after all, it's about expanding the circle and keeping it fed. If you like what you hear, follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms. Welcome back to Selling Your Circle podcast. I'm your host, Juliana Gainsburg, and today I am out of the studio. I'm nowhere near Philadelphia, and I am without Dom, so this is chaotic. However, I am with one of my favorite humans ever and ever, the one and only Wendy Papasan.
Hello. Here in my hometown.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
I love Austin so much, and this is my third time here for a Keller Williams event. And I was riding around scooters, and I'm like, oh, we're on 5th and Brazos. Like, yeah, we just go right here. And I'm like, wait, I know my way around Austin now. It's like starting to set in. Like,
well, Austin's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. I love that this convention is here every year because it's just a familiar thing. And
yeah. Well, and I like it when agents get out and do other stuff.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they sort of do a few things and they tell me what their favorite things are. And I'm like, oh, nobody in Austin has those things as their favorite. So you need to get out a little bit more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. I do like to explore a little bit more as I've been coming to more of these events, especially if it's somewhere that I haven't been. Yeah. Like to kind of double dip, okay, we're here to network and learn, but also use this opportunity to see a new place or learn something different.
We're a big city of 2.5 million people. So
yeah.
Crazy.
So for those who may not know you that are listening or watching, who is Wendy Papasan?
Well, hi guys. I run the Papasan Properties Group here in Austin, Texas, which is a residential real estate team. We've got about 20 people on our team. I've been a realtor for 14 years, since 2009. I also run a couple of other businesses that are ancillary to real estate. So I run the Her Best Life business, which is a business that amplifies the lives and voices of women in business. And I run I kind of do the investments for our family. So we have multiple investments. We have 15 doors. We're part owners of a movie theater, part owners of a spa, part owners of a bar, part owners of a hotel.
I love that.
We're involved in some syndications. And we have a home repair and remodeling business that I run with my partner, Dylan. And of course, I'm a wife of a busy executive at Keller Williams. And I have 2 kids that are, one's about to turn 18, one's 19. So
first day.
Yeah. Today was the first day of high school. So about to be an empty nester.
Oh man. Are you excited or sad or both?
Both for sure. Yeah. I'm not one of those moms who's not going to have anything to do when her kids leave.
Right.
Or dads, I guess. But it's sad. We're a tight family.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love each other. So.
And have you guys always been in Austin?
Jay and I met in New York City in the kind of late 90s, and we moved here in 2000. Yeah. So
awesome.
we've been here for 23 years, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm about to celebrate my 25th wedding anniversary, which is also crazy.
Oh, congrats.
Know,
that's amazing.
So old. I am old.
You guys are the cuties.
But,
2 little cuties.
Yeah.
So can you give me a little bit on, you said 2009 is when you got into the business?
Yep.
Okay. So at that point, was it investment focused or it was sales focused?
Well, I actually got into real estate in 2001, because that's when we bought our first home in 2001. And then 3 years later, we turned it into an investment property. And right around that time, Jay was writing The Millionaire Real Estate Investor with Dave Jenks and Gary Keller. And so because we'd never really done any kind of investing, we decided to do our first flip. So, and at that same time, I had quit my job because our kids were really close in age. They were 15 months apart. So I just ended up quitting my job and kind of doing real estate investing as my side hustle. So we did several flips. We developed a piece of land kind of in a cool area of Austin. I was the landlady and I brought my kids along. Actually, we had a really cool full circle moment recently where there was a property that we bought when my kids were little. They were probably like 1 and 3 when we bought it. And back then I was all the things. So I didn't really understand about getting a team or hiring people to help you. I just thought you had to do it all yourself. And we didn't have any money. So that's kind of what I did. So I would take my kids with me and we would do the make readies. Like I literally would be scrubbing the floors and cleaning the toilets and painting and things like that to make it ready for the next tenant. Cause I just didn't know.
Yeah.
And so there was this one in particular house that we bought that we did quite a bit of work on. And my little kids would be like playing in the backyard or whatever while we were remodeling this house. And this summer, my oldest son is working for our home repair and remodeling company that we started. Mm-hmm. So in 2019, we took our house like completely down to the studs and did a 2-year remodel. And the general contractor ended up being horrible. So we ended up firing him. And I just got so fed up from like just horrible vendors, who don't show up and they take your money and all these things. So I started my own home repair and like remodeling company. And so this summer, my son was working in that company, learning how to put in floors and change out light fixtures and things like that. And his very first job was actually that house that he was in when he was a toddler.
They used to do like the turnovers.
Yeah, we used to do the turnovers for. So it was like a pretty cool full circle moment, at least for me, where it's just a reminder of how far I come. Like back in the day, I had to do everything myself. Then I kind of got fed up with that. So then I started a company that was able to do that for me. And then now I'm employing my son to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you still have that initial property and that's part of the 15.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. We've kept almost every property that we've ever bought, including 3 of our houses that we've lived in.
That's amazing.
It's been, it's a get rich slow scheme.
Yeah. It's definitely like a delayed gratification.
Yeah, it's delayed gratification.
Like most of what we do in our business and sales as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've had that conversation a few times recently in the past couple of weeks with some newer agents that are just like, well, I'm just like not seeing, like I've just done a lot of rentals, or I'm just like not seeing the, when am I going to get a buyer, or when I'm going to do a listing or whatever. And I'm like, even when you get that, you're still 45 days out. Yep. Like you have to fall in love with the process of delayed gratification, whether from the investing side or the sales side. It's part of the game.
Well,
literally.
And it's not just delayed gratification, but it's actually compounding. So if you think about, everybody understands the power of compound interest. Well, maybe people don't, but the power of compound interest with your money. Yeah. But it's like that in everything. So I mean, if you're lifting weights, or if you're in a relationship, or, there's this incredible thing called compound interest that it doesn't just grow, it actually multiplies and gets better. But too many people just quit, they just quit. That's why 90% of agents go in and out of the business in 2 years or less. Yeah.
It's like 1 in 10 makes it out of like the first year.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were just at the, KW Commercial Summit because we just launched a commercial arm to our business. And they said there that only 1 in 10 commercial agents ever makes even $1 in real estate.
It's just it's interesting how it's like, it's not even like that far away from what we do, like as residential sales, like the concept of it, but it's just such a different breed. Yeah. Just a different dynamic in the same. It's interesting when I see people that do residential and commercial, like how they can do both. Most people don't.
Most people don't. Yeah. Well, we hired a completely separate agent.
Yeah. So is that like another division within Papasan Properties?
Yes. And it's, it's completely different. So different splits.
Got it.
It's not, I've got one person who's leading it. She's knows what she's doing.
And at this point, how many areas does Papasan Properties cover?
We're just in the Austin metro area. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We had expansion, like pre-COVID, and then COVID, it sort of all fell apart, and we were like, the average price point in Austin's gone up 52%. So we'll just like put all our eggs in here,
Yeah, for sure. Austin is booming.
It's booming.
I love it.
Yeah, it's booming.
That's awesome. So I'm going to take us back a little bit, and I've been so excited to talk about this at this point, and I'm sure you probably have an idea of where I'm going. In 2020, my first family reunion. It's the last day.
Oh, yeah.
Simon Sinek disappeared.
Probably had COVID.
Honestly. At that time, we were calling it family reunion plague. It was probably COVID. Last minute says, hey, I'm sick. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Gary throws together you, via Sarah Reynolds, Seychelles.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, how much time in advance do you know that you're doing that?
So at that point, we had been planning on launching our podcast, the Empire Building Podcast. And so the four of us were selected. And we were planning actually after family reunion to record some episodes. Well, actually we had done a photo shoot and some things like that. And I feel like it was probably the night before, probably at like 9:30 at night, something like that, where Jay was like, Simon is really sick. We're trying to figure out what to do. And so then we were on stage the next day, which was pretty cool. So
you, as far as like the podcast, it was created and the idea and the ball was rolling, but at that point... The ball was
rolling, but we hadn't recorded any episodes or anything like that. And then there was no plans on really like announcing it or anything.
Right.
Because the actual podcast didn't drop until... The first one didn't drop till that June.
Yeah.
But it was... I just remember we were in the hotel room. We were like, what's going on? And it's really cool because, Gary teaches a class called Empire Building. Mm-hmm. And he teaches it for anybody in Austin who wants to, who is a business owner. Yeah. And so when we were thinking about names for the podcast, we had tossed around a lot of what I would call like sort of like pink names, like women leaders in real estate or this and that, Barbie names. And I can't remember who suggested it, but we were like, what about calling it Empire Building? Yeah. And I was like, I don't know if Gary's going to be up for it because that's his, one of his brands really. And he was very generous to give us the name. And I just think it's cool because it's not gender specific. Yeah. And it just is a testament to Keller Williams. It's just they're pouring into women leaders. Yeah. So
I think it fits totally. So at that point, how does that being on stage in that aspect, like, all four of you are very powerful women in your businesses, your careers, your lives within Keller Williams. So, you've been on stage or you've spoken at different points like that. But in that moment when your four of you are together on this specific topic, how does that change socially for the podcast? Like, does that...
I think it was just a really powerful moment because, Sarah, who's just a huge advocate for... women leaders and is a very powerful leader herself. I mean, she's the number one Keller Williams agent. She made $34 million in commission checks last year.
It's crazy.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's not crazy. It's amazing.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. And so she says on stage, she says, hey, everyone, I want you to just look at this panel. I want you to look at the faces on this panel. This is the first time we've ever seen a panel of four, powerful female leaders up there. And you could it's just like a moment for our company. Yeah. That's so wonderful.
I sat there as a 20-year-old at the time, 5 months into the business, like fully immersed in the KW family reunion bubble, like just crazy feelings going on at that point in time.
The cult bubble.
Yeah, I was chugging the Kool-Aid at that point. Yeah. And it's just like, I love Simon Sinek, great author. He's awesome. But that whole panel in general for not only myself, but a lot of other women and other people in general was just like a game changer. Yeah. Like it just was I look back on that moment, as a mindset changer for me in my business. So that's why I wanted to talk about it because it definitely was like, it was like meant to happen. Yeah. Like I said, love you, Simon Sinek. Yeah. But it was like a blessing in disguise that like all came together like that. And then to have the podcast, like to follow that, I think it was just like,
and then everything that happened with COVID, I know for so many people, we were just a lifeline for them during COVID. Yeah. It's like, hey, we're going through exactly what you're going through right now. And we were just being authentic and we still are sharing authentically all of our struggles, everything that we do as women, as business owners. A lot of us are moms, obviously. And it's just, women women's struggles are different.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, there's many struggles that are exactly the same, but there are many that are different.
Yeah.
So and that's why, we started our other business, Her Best Life, which was because I joined, I had been in business for a few years and my business really grew. I was doubling and tripling. And by the time I had been in the business 5 years, I was making $1 million in real estate. And I'd never managed a business before. I'd never made that much money. And my kids were young.
Yeah.
So I was just really craving a different kind of conversation. So that's why we created Her Best Life.
Yeah. So talk about that as far as Her Best Life, how it is. I know that you have your conferences essentially, but it's a group.
Yeah. So we're about to, I don't know when this podcast is launching.
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anybody that's listening, we are having our next event. I call it, it's really more like an experience. It's in Nashville, September 20th through 22nd. You need to come. And it's an incredible experience in that it is, we talk about tactical business things, but really it's really about that bigger life. So on the podcast, we talk about how to grow a big business and an even bigger life. And the event is really focused on the life part of it, which is, growing yourself as a leader, leaning into your investments in your financial side of your business. Who are you connecting with? Who's your circle? Where are your friendships? And then talking about energy, and then it's really fun. So I think a lot of us, before we started growing our businesses, we were more fun and spontaneous.
Yeah.
That's what attracted us to real estate. And all of a sudden we look up and we're like, wait, what happened to the fun part of life?
Right.
So
we get consumed into the discipline also of we need to be doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
and
get
that
up,
gets
do this, do your morning, this, that, go out, do all that. And so the event is really fun. We're having it's in Nashville, so we're having a Dolly Parton party.
Oh, love that. Nashville's great. Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Castle Public Adjusters. If you have fallen victim to property damage, Castle Public Adjusters is your first and only call. They will make sure that you get the maximum compensation for your property loss. Remember, avoid the hassle, just call Castle. 215-752-1237.
Yeah. That's another reason why I wanted to have you come and talk today, because you've excelled from the residential side of residential sales, and then you go on to build these other businesses. And that's a lot of what I've talked about with other people on this podcast. It's just you've been able to harness that, and it's great, and then use that for the other opportunities, like buying more properties or creating a networking / experience group for other women. And then the podcast too. Did you think, 5-10 years ago that the podcast would be something that's so relevant in your life?
Well, what's remarkable is when you plug into KW, and you really have to be plugged in, because there's lots of people who are on the fringe of KW and they don't really plug in. Right. And I know you're a plugger-inner.
I am plugged in.
Yeah. And it's quite remarkable when you do, because Keller Williams gives you all the tools to really turn your real estate business and think about it like a business. I think about my business as a cash flowing asset. Most people are like, oh, I'm a realtor. I'm like, oh, well, I'm a realtor too. And my business is a cash flowing asset that gives me cash every month, and I don't have to spend 40 hours a week working on it. And Keller Williams teaches you how to do all that. Gary made a class called Career Visioning, which is how to hire and train the best people. And I don't know about other real estate companies. I've never been at another real estate company, but I don't think they do that. In fact, most of them discourage even having a team. And then they wrote The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. Gary and Jay and Dave, they wrote that for the agents.
Yeah.
Gary's hey, I want you to be able to turn that business into a business and then spend some of that money and make the world a better place.
Yeah.
Which is remarkable. And, we are so blessed to have a leader who's worth following.
Yeah. I do love the way that we're very more entrepreneurial mindset than most.
Yeah. Well, and, a lot of business, Gary's a billionaire. Now, there's a lot of billionaires who don't have a great relationship with their wife or husband. They don't have a great family. They're overweight. They're about to have a heart attack. And, we've got a leader who's who's worth following in every area. He's a very successful business person. I've witnessed firsthand his love for his wife and his son and now his grandchildren. And he truly, truly cares about all the people around him. Yeah. And that's remarkable. It's just, it's very rare.
Yeah, I definitely think that's, that is like the trickle effect of just the culture that we have as a company. It's just like a great model for that.
Well, and it's a testament to how one person can literally change the world. And we're all that person. Like, we're all the keepers of our community in our own right. And so everybody listening, you all have the ability to become a someday Gary Keller, where you can literally change yourself. And it starts with changing yourself, right? You're always your own lid, right? Lifting your own lid and changing your family life, changing the lives of your children, changing the lives of the people in your community, the people on your team. Like, we all have the ability to do that. And the ripple of that effect of that is extraordinary.
Yeah.
So
we bopped around. I was telling you earlier before we started, sometimes I'm very note oriented and I'm like, I want to stay on track. And sometimes I'm like, no, we're just going to chat and it's going to be great. And either way, it works out great. But we bopped around a little bit. As far as just touching back on the podcast, Empire Builders, I know back in June, you were at like 700,000 downloads.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Okay, just for people that don't know, I know that you guys do it virtually. How is that? Was that always in the plan because you started in COVID? Actually,
originally the plan was going to be to fly. We were all going to fly to Austin every single month to record. That was, isn't that
You're
crazy?
Laughing because you're like, how would we do that?
That's insane. We're all so busy.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, we'll figure it out.
And that's what I thought too. Like seeing that I, have followed all of you and you're all in different paths in different areas. I'm like thinking to myself, like, how are they going to continue this out being all over the place?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was so great during COVID because with the craziness, it was just the one thing that I looked forward to every week.
Right.
Because everything was just I just felt like I was working all the time. At one point I was homeschooling, which I'm literally just not behaviorally suited for homeschooling. So my child got no school for six months. It was just like our happy place. We got together, we could share, we were crying. I mean, it was so good. So
there was definitely some a very emotional moments and episodes.
So many.
But it was just so.
It was.
It still is, but at that point, connection was so needed.
Yes.
Just being so
we
not
were all
connected.
Lonely. Yeah, we were all so lonely.
And there was just a definite amount of episodes that were like, wow, that's like real. Like we're crying in the mic right now.
I know. I need to go back and listen to them.
You should.
Well, it's cool because it's also like a history of kind of recorded history of what happened. So,
yeah. I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
So as far as the future for that, is there anything coming up or anything big that
we
you guys
have
are
our
working
two
on?
new co-hosts. So shout out to Tiffany Fikes and Kimber Lovett Mankiti. They've been fun. It's been taken, we were so tight before, so it's taken a little while to get the rhythm and all of that stuff. And that's really fun because they bring a really fresh perspective. And I don't know, Tiffany keeps saying that we should take it on the road, which would be so fun. To do
I would love for you to take it on the road.
KW Empire Building Tour would be so fun. But yeah,
you should. You should definitely do that.
I know, it'd be so fun.
That's
and she's really funny. Doesn't always show up in the podcast, but she's hilarious.
If you think about it, all of you have spoken on different levels of stages.
It would be so fun.
Even if you
it's just the scheduling. We don't have to take a year off, but
you could do it in a couple of weeks.
True.
Like a small one.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
You could hit all the regions.
Yeah, I like it. I'm here for this.
All right.
I'm like, the ball is already rolling.
We've got our organizer. Yeah, exactly.
I'll be an influencer for it. Okay, so a couple of silly stuff. I can't wait to ask you this question. And I don't think anyone's ever asked you this.
Okay.
I hope no one's ever
scared.
asked you this. Do you think that you're a celebrity?
Oh, I made up that word.
You made it up?
I made that word up. It took me 7 years for it to catch on, but that is my word.
Holy shit.
You didn't know that about me.
No.
Yeah.
I did not know that you made that up.
For those listeners, Keller Williams celebrity is a celebrity. I made that word up.
Okay, so are you the celebrity?
Well, I'm the original OG celebrity, obviously.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
And for people that don't know, like in Keller Williams world, I was just talking about this the other day. I'm like, when I go to family reunion or I go to mega camp or I go to these larger like summit like events, I literally feel famous based off of people just like, you just know so many people because you
incredible.
just engage with so many people. I came to a family reunion in Orlando with an agent that had not been in a few years. And they were in KWIP, and I walk into exhibit hall, and I just immediately saw so many KWIP people. Yeah. He's like, how do all these people know you?
Yeah,
I'm like, we're just on Facebook and Zoom for 2 years together. Like, everybody's so excited and happy to be here. Like, you know, that kind of thing. But I just thought that was so funny. Like, people, you in this company, I mean, there's 11,000 KW agents just in my region.
Wow.
So if you are doing something like podcasting or something with social media where you're getting in front of people on a mass level, just within our own company, like, it's very easy to scale that.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
I mean, like, I don't consider myself a celebrity, but in general, like, there are people that it's just like you're commonly known. Yeah, I can be a celebrity.
Yeah.
But like, generally,
years.
Like, I'm trying to think of like someone else that I would like consider that. Like, for instance, like Jeff Glover.
Sure.
Like
Cody Gibson.
Yeah. Just like people that if you are in any way somewhat bought into Keller Williams other than just your market center level, you'll probably know them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Oh my God, I didn't know that you did that.
I know.
The more you know. The more you know. Okay, so what's
all secrets revealed
on Selling Your Circle podcast?
That's right.
What's next? Or what are you passionate about or something that you have coming up?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I'm going to be an empty nester in a year. Mm-hmm. And my passion is really teaching. You know, Gary always talks about Keller Williams being a coaching and training organization disguised as a real estate firm. And that's how he built his empire, was through teaching. And he actually taught Quantum Leap. Yeah. And it was taught way back when. And it's so interesting because I was just at Inman and there was a conversation about sort of like a personal brand versus a big brand like of a real estate company. And 40 years ago, it's Keller Williams' 40th anniversary today, I think, or something like that. 40 years ago, Gary was like, you know what? My brand doesn't really matter. It's all about the individual brand. And they were having this conversation at Inman like 40 years later where people were like, Compass was saying like, oh, our brand is so good. And then there were other people saying like, your brand doesn't really matter. But anyway, I digress. But he built Keller Williams on this idea of like sort of like living your best life, everything that we've been talking about today. And so teaching Quantum Leap is my passion. I've taught it 2 times this year. So kind of as I continue to leverage myself and my other businesses, I just want to go out and teach and share and give back. And I love to travel. Mm-hmm. So just teaching internationally and doing that. Well, I love to teach. That's my I want to be, Gene Rivers someday. Who's another celebrity.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You definitely could do that.
Yeah.
Well, we would love to have you in Philadelphia for the YP Summit.
Thank you. When is that?
May 31st.
All right. Well, let's talk.
So we're locking you in.
Let's talk.
No, we definitely would love to have you out there. But Quantum Leap is a great program.
Yeah.
I've taken it with you. I've taken it with a couple other people as well.
Yep.
That's something that I definitely recommend if you haven't done Quantum Leap, whether you're in real estate or not.
Yes. It's non-real estate affiliated.
Great program.
Yep.
So if someone wants to find you on Instagram or listen to the podcast.
Yep, IG. I'm the only person with my name. So Wendy Papasan. Mm-hmm. I'm the only one. And just find our podcast wherever you download podcasts. We're on Apple, Spotify, wherever. Empire Building Podcast. We're the bright yellow square. And that's
and if someone's looking to move to Austin.
Yeah, we would love to help them out. Yeah, I have an amazing team and of course, been in Austin for 23 years, or just reach out and say hi. I mean, a lot of people call and ask me for restaurant recommendations or things to do in
Total
Austin.
Local expert.
Yeah, happy to help with all that too.
Love that. So we'll have all of Wendy's information below. Thank you so much for taking time out of your mega camp crazy schedule to come sit here.
You're doing great stuff. You're doing really great stuff. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, keep shining.
If you are looking to follow me and you are not already on Instagram, it's Jewel_the Realtor. You can find Selling Your Circle podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and pretty much anywhere else that you want to find us. We're all over the place. So that is it for today, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.